my second game analysis, I did JumpStart First Grade 2000 edition. I used this game for game analysis 1, so you can view my other video on the same channel to get a short description, but basically there's a bunch of educational mini-games in a school setting. So the educational objectives are fairly obvious. All of the games are just typical tasks taken straight from first grade curriculum. There's English exercises like spelling, recognizing parts of speech, matching synonyms. There's math exercises such as working with fractions, comparing numbers, doing simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. There's also practical skill exercises like telling time, following a recipe, or counting out exact change. In terms of instructional design principles, they use quite a few. So there's spacing, there's long-term rewards for coming back to the game multiple times, so you can come back and practice the skills again and again. There's segmenting, where each of the learning games is broken down to very simple tasks, and you get periodically rewarded for completing several tasks. There's feedback and feedback timing, so each time you complete one of those actions, the teachers will respond immediately and say, oh, good job, or no, that's not quite right. There's Goldilocks, in that each minigame has 3 levels of difficulty that can be adjusted to fit the player. There's interleaving, in that, of course, all the minigames have a different skill, so you're encouraged to go around and play multiple minigames, so you build different skills, and you can come back instead of just practicing math or just practicing English. In terms of where it's not so great in instructional design principles is that there's a good variety of games, but within the games there's very little variability. So obviously they built the game to work a certain way, and so there's not a lot of different situations that you apply those certain skills in. There's also no testing or like building towards an objective. It's just repeating those same tasks within the games again and again. For MDA, the mechanics that were that the reward structure across the games is all consistent, so you build towards 4 prizes in each game, and then 4 prizes gets you a clue, and 3 clues gets you a treasure hunt, which is, the treasure hunt is a good motivator because they built in rewards to that. Also, the controls that they made for the games are very easy. They would be simple for a first grader to use, and there's several areas in the school that you can move between. So all of that works together to keep the player engaged and working towards those goals, and it really gives them a feeling of exploring school and exploring the islands and the treasure hunt, and just getting pleasure from being rewarded and exploring. So the first redesign I would suggest is for the Hall Pass game, which I found pretty difficult and kind of boring when I was a kid playing it. Also, a problem with it is that although it's teaching you to tell the time, you always have these digital displays as well as the analog clocks, so you could kind of just rely on that and never really learn to tell time on the analog clocks. So for level 1, I would suggest adding more animations to the stamper machine to make it more fun. Just have like little gizmos and little worry things, and have it do different things each time you stamp something correctly, so that there's kind of a little reward instead of just a boring, there's a paper airplane animation on it currently that just gets very repetitive. Also, for the first level, I would put an analog clock on the left with a digital display below it, and then a time counter in the middle, and on the right I would have the instructions. So you have to set the clock to 1:30 or set the time counter to 1.5 hours. And you could click on those to have it read aloud again, which I don't think is available in the game as it is. And for this level, the clocks would be adjustable to the quarter hour, just as they are on the 3rd level in the original game. For level 2, I'd have an increase in difficulty by making 3-part instructions, but it would also decrease a little bit in difficulty by adjusting only to half hours, so it's a little bit simpler there. But basically you would have a start time, duration, end time, and you would have to fill in the missing one, figure it out from the other 2 that are in there. And again, you could click on those to have them read aloud. And then for the 3rd level, I would take away the digital display so that they would have to learn to tell the time on the analog clock, and increase the difficulty by making it adjustable to quarter hours, so you've got more difficult intervals. So in terms of education objectives, though, it still works pretty much the same. It helps them tell the time and tell the differences between times. For instructional design principles, the feedback timing variability would be the same, so the responses would be the same, and the basic setup is the same, but the Goldilocks principle would be fixed, so hopefully that would build steadily in difficulty instead of as it is now, and the redundancy with the reading the instructions aloud would help, and yeah, scaffolding is just building again. In terms of MDA, hopefully the animations would make it more fun and the mechanics would be a bit simpler. For the second redesign, we've got this beanbag game that's just really trivial as it is. It doesn't really teach the science objectives, but it is kind of fun. So instead of the 3 pictures, and you would have to hit one of the pictures, I would have it be one red X icon for false, one green checkmark icon for true, and then a white or black skull icon that you would always have to avoid. And then just instead of hints, have the teacher ask true-false questions relating to science concepts. And these would be science concepts that would be appropriate for first graders. So, like, I looked at things that first graders would be learning in science, and it's things like phases of matter, animals and their environments, so like food chains and stuff, learning about the concept of energy and you need it to do things, weather and seasons, the solar system and how the moon relates to the earth and the earth relates to the sun, and just the scientific method in general where you make a guess, a prediction, and then you test it. Oh, and I would also add a blank area in the upper right where you could display images to kind of help with the questions that they would ask. And then the questions would increase in complexity with each level, of course. In terms of educational objectives, this would much better address the scientific learning, and it would pretty much, the game would be the same, so the fun would kind of be intact. But in terms of instructional design principles, obviously we've fixed the difficulty to be appropriate.